So, welcome back to part 3 of Stories from Reflexology. Now, today's story is about a very, very slim woman, and I'll call her Adele. Adele was very, very sleek, very, very slim, and it's quite a sad story, to be honest, but I think it's really, really going to help you wherever you're at. So, this is a female called Adele. She was very, very slim, very athletic, very yoga-y, and she was on my Reflexology course. And this was over 20 years ago. And Adele was very, she kept a lot to herself. Normally during the Reflexology course or the massage courses we teach, because of the subject, you get quite deep with each other, and we're learning about each other and we're learning about clients, and you sort of like are there for your students in a huge way. But Adele was the kind of woman that liked to keep to herself, which was absolutely fine. But I could always tell when I was teaching that the more deeper we got involved into the subject of reflexology, the more it was bringing stuff up in her. And I knew nothing about her home life, about her personal situation, but I just knew she was on the course. And I never prayed, I never tried to get involved or anything like that, but I just watched. And sometimes when I would be speaking, I noticed tears would well up in her eyes, and she would feel really, really tearful. And you're going to most probably be thinking as you're listening to this, oh no, Tree, this is going to be sad. It is a bit sad, but it's going to teach you most probably one of the most beneficial things ever that I have learnt through therapies. So please stay with me for this. So Adele kept showing up. Her work was absolutely excellent. Her case studies, her writing up of her reports was through the roof. It was really, 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 really good. But the deeper we got into the course and the further along we got, okay, I little bit started to slip of this person that was keeping it all together and being recognised as being really in control was actually suffering. She was really suffering inside, and as a trainer there was nothing I could really do apart from planting seeds like I do now, because I didn't want to cross over the boundaries. She knew where I was if she needed to come to me. So as time evolved, I used to tell stories about investing in yourself and how amazing it was for these students that were learning reflexology. They'd go off, they'd set up their own businesses, and it would be for them. And I kept saying to them all how amazing this journey was for them. And she'd get excited, she'd get so excited, and I was so excited for her. She was in her 50s, so she'd had her children. Adele had obviously had children that had grown up, that had left the nest, and all that was left was her and her husband. They didn't own any property, they rented property because her husband always travelled, and he travelled around. And so she travelled with him, she brought up the children, and she did a really, really, really good job bringing up the kids. But Adele inside was thinking, she was trying, like I said, she was trying to keep it all together. She gave a lovely smile, but my heart sank every time I saw her, and because I knew something wasn't right. But as the course evolved, like I said, she was doing something for herself. So I was really pleased about that. In fact, I was pleased for the whole class, and I kept telling them and praising them how pleased I was that people were investing in their own career, in their own growth, that they would have their own income when they qualified. Anyway, all these students went on to qualify, and Adele went on to qualify as well. She didn't keep in contact with me, which was fine, but years later I had heard that Adele had separated from her partner and he had been seeing someone else, but she had invested her whole life into her children. So her whole, she had to give up her job, she had to bring them up. This was what her purpose was within the family work, because the family home, because he had to travel around the UK for his work, and she was always, getting up, moving from one premises to another. So they never ever had their own place. Now you're going to be asking, well, what's this got to do with reflexology? Well, the fact was, she had learned reflexology, and she had learned something for herself, which was amazing. Because if she had not done that before they had actually finally parted ways, they got divorced because he wanted a divorce, and she obviously wanted a divorce as well, because things weren't going right. And I'm not going to go into the details of what was actually happening in the relationship, but she actually had found reflexology that was for her. In all her time of bringing up the kids, she had never done anything for herself, because she was committed to bringing up those children. And the thing was, she invested in her. Okay. The sad part is she lost a partner through the process of that, because he was committed to other things and they had discrepancies in their relationship. There was a lot of stuff going on. But she had come to the point where she had found herself through reflexology, and she had invested her time into setting up her business. So that's the sad bit. But the bit that I wanted to tell you about, she invested in herself. So she had something for herself that she could do. You see, can you imagine what would have happened if she'd have got divorced, right? They would have had no home, all right, because they rented. She would have had nothing she could have invested into herself. She would have had to have gone and got a job, okay, but she had reflexology, the training behind that, to set up for herself. So Adele was really grateful to me for helping her learn this subject. So she was able to develop her business and keep moving forward. But it was difficult. It was not easy, because she had invested her whole life in her children and in her husband. And it wasn't until, she was in her 50s that she had found something she truly, truly loved, because she was also investing in herself as well as investing in her clients, in her own business, something for her. So even though it's slightly sad, or very, very sad, some of you may find, it turned out to be a blessing for her. She didn't have a property, so she had to start from afresh, which is difficult in that era, but it was a good long time ago, so times were different then. And she was able to carry on with her business. But what she'd actually learnt from this whole process was, yes, she did have to commit to her children. Yes, she did commit 100% to her husband, her husband at the time. But what she had forgotten is she'd learnt that she needed to invest in herself as well. So now she's of the opinion she invests in her. She gives to her, not just in health, but financially and in her business. She's always invested now, from this moment of being on our course, she's invested in her future. And this is where she's going with it. So no longer is she tied to someone where she's travelling and she gives up her whole life. She has invested into her. So I hope this live video for the YouTube story of Stories from Reflexology UK really resonates with you, of taking back control and being able to invest in you. Even if you've got children, you can still invest a little bit of that part of you into you. Don't be like her, where she got to 50, okay, she'd lost her marriage by then, and she'd lost, you know, thank gosh, at 50 she had actually managed to learn reflexology and have something for her. Okay, so don't wait till when the kids have grown up. Give something to yourself, invest in you, because none of us know which way life's going to go. And I was so pleased for Adele for the fact that she had invested in herself, and at the end of her divorce she had come out with something for her, and for that both of us were really, really grateful. So I hope this resonates with you. My name is Teresa Rich from Reflexology UK.